The Democrat-controlled Senate failed to codify Roe v. Wade with a 49 to 51 vote.
Supreme Court stays the course with their final vote on Roe v. Wade.
A Chinese-American congressional candidate, Tang Williams, jumped into the political arena to steer the country away from the disaster. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host, Wei Fang.
I'm Kathy Zhang.
And you wonder, where is this guy? Where's Wei? Sorry, I've been absent from the program for more than 1 week. Okay, I've been on a business trip and doing, you have to trust me, meaningful work. Okay, and then now I'm just coming back and then catching up with the show. Mm-hmm. And along the journey, I did run into our viewers. And one of the viewers.
So what did they say?
Love our show. I was really surprised because in that kind of occasion, I didn't expect.
And not a big city, right?
No. It's not at all. It's a small town in upstate New York. So that really surprised me, pleasantly, of course. And okay, so today actually, Kathy has a special feature story for you. So let's do a little preview here. What is it about?
Yeah. So I think you guys gonna love this interview. It's a really, really powerful interview, very interesting story. This lady, Tang Williams, she came actually, so interesting. I didn't plan for it. Okay, I really have to make this disclaimer. Today is Tang Williams' 34th anniversary arriving in the United States. It's almost like her birthday.
Okay,
right?
Rebirth, the date of rebirth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So because when I was doing, trying to go through the interview, doing some editing, and I tried to look for her photos on her Facebook, and I run into her post saying that today is her anniversary.
Wow.
So how, I think it's just meant to be, right?
So that's the photo that she just came to the country. Is that right?
Yep, at the airport.
Yeah,
and she arrived.
Looks very familiar, just like Kathy and Wei. Okay, we came here as a graduate student or something like that, and Wei and Kathy somehow turn ourselves into journalists and the news people, right?
Yeah, and the Lily Tang.
Yeah, she's a congressional candidate. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, so she's running for congressional office in New Hampshire, actually, and with it's such an interesting story. 34 years ago, she arrived at the airport of Texas with only $100 in her pocket.
$100. Okay.
Yeah, $100, and also having a $1,200 debt.
$1,200 debt.
Yes, $1,200 debt.
So net worth is negative.
So, but how did she? And one thing also I wanted to let you guys know is that she actually was born and raised during Cultural Revolution. Mm-hmm. So why she came out to run for office is a very telling story. So I really would like you guys to stay with the show and to just listen to her story. I think you're gonna be very inspired.
All right, so before we come to that feature story, we'll first have a couple of top news of the country that we want to present it to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, first, of course, the ruling, the Supreme Court's leaked ruling on the Mississippi case, okay, has been around for a couple of weeks. And the most recent news is since Sunday, okay, the liberal protesters surround the residence of 6 Republican appointed justice. And then for a couple of days now, and then even though that kind of protest actually violated the federal law, because you cannot do that kind of things to influence the ruling of a judge, let alone a justice. Anyway, that has been happening, and the Justice Department is not doing anything. And the second, as you know, the 1 day later, the Wisconsin Family Protection organization was attacked with arson. Okay, and then yesterday, 3 Catholic churches in Texas was vandalized. Again, and this Saturday, look forward to another wave of pro-abortion rights protests across the country, and this is expected to last for quite a few times. quite sometimes, possibly towards the midterm election. So among all these turmoils, okay, and then today it came to the Senate votes on this a law which is called Women's Health Protection Act. And what is it? Okay, well, it is an act raised by Judy Chu, who is a Chinese American congressional congresswoman from the Southern California. All right, so the Women Health Protection Law Act is meant to codify the ruling of the Roe v. Wade. All right, so that they don't depend on Supreme Court to ban the anti-abortion across the country. Okay, and the content of that is mainly preventing state governments from regulating abortions before the fetal viability, all right, which is 23 to 24 weeks of the pregnancy. And then also it prevents from the restricting access to abortion services. One scary thing is this, okay, any violation of those, the items in the act would be investigated and prosecuted by the Department of Justice, by the DOJ. So pretty strong law, okay? And then this law has been, tried and again for 6 times since 2013, all right? As early as, 9 years ago, and then this was tried by Judy Chu, and just as recent as last September 24th of last year, the act passed the House of Representatives, okay, but it was defeated in the Senate in the February of this year. So today is the second attempt, all right, okay? So what's the vote? What's the result of the vote? 49 by 51. So what's the runaway votes from the Democrat? As you can guess, is Joe Manchin, the senators from the West Virginia. All right, and so what is his word? He said it went too far. He said that although he support to codify the ruling of the Roe v. Wade as is, because he said that 70% of the American people want this. This is a law of the land already for nearly 50 years. But this act, okay, this Women Health Protection Act went too far. Oh, okay, he said this is expansion. This is not a Roe v. Wade codification. It is an expansion, and he doesn't like that. He said this would, if passed, wipe out 500 state laws off the books, okay, and it expands abortion. All right, and Manchin said that we should not be dividing this country further than we are already divided. All right. So this brings us, our attention to this gentleman, this Senator, Joe Manchin. As you know that he is from the West Virginia, and he became the senator of the West Virginia since 2010. And for the 6 years before that, he was the governor of the West Virginia. And mind you, he's the only Democrat elected officials at the state level and above. Okay, so for all the congressional representatives from West Virginia, and for all the state level elected officials, everybody's Republican. He's the only Democrat. All right. So how could he survive and got elected to become now the senior senator? He said he's a centrist, moderate, and conservative Democrat. Okay, his grandfather ran I think the heritage is Italian. Okay, Italian American. His grandfather ran a grocery store, and his father ran a carpet store and a furniture store. So small businessman. Both of them actually served as the Farmington, West Virginia, the mayor of the Farmington, West Virginia. And then he went to just West Virginia schools, okay, elementary school and high school and college and so on and so forth. And he got his MBA and then entered his family business. And later become a broker for a coal mine, in the field of coal mine. And then in 2001, he ran for public office, got elected as the Secretary of the State, and served that for 4 years. And then he ran for governor, got elected. So served 6 years as the governor. So apparently this Democrat was well known to the citizens and folks in West Virginia. That's why they approve of him. And then he's the only Democrat in that in all red West Virginia. All right. So as a matter of fact, as a centralist, as a conservative Democrat, he opposed the energy policies of President Barack Obama. He also voted to remove the federal funding for the Planned Parenthood in 2015, and he supported President Trump's border wall and the immigration policies, and voted to confirm most of his cabinet and judicial appointees, including Associate Justice Barrett Kavanaugh. And Manchin also opposes many progressive priorities, such as Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and abolishing the filibuster, expanding the Supreme Court, and defunding the police. All right, that's what he did. As a matter of fact, okay, Manchin has been the most influential person in the 117th Congress. And you may realize that, you may not, okay, because we got a 50-50 split in the Senate. And then remember, you add the vice president's vote, that is 51-50. So in theory, okay, the Democrat can pass any law because they got the House, they got the Senate, they got the White House, right? Of course, then in the Senate, for most bills except the budget related, you need a 60 majority, 60 vote majority to pass any law because of the filibuster, right? You have to have 60 votes to overcome the filibuster. However, it takes only 51 votes to do away with the filibuster itself, which would completely change the way that House Senate works. And then in theory, the Democrat could do away with the filibuster because they got 51 votes if everybody go the party way. And then from then on, they can pack the court, they can pass the Build Back Better, just a $2.7 trillion bill, and then they can pass this, I forgot, this federal, just voter law, which would completely change the landscape of the voting, how election is done in this country. And then none of them passed because of Joe Manchin. Okay, he became the sole vote that's bucking the trend of the Democratic Party. And then, as a matter of fact, for the political insiders, okay, for the conservatives especially, in the last 2 years has been 2 years that's very, very dangerous. Because, if Joe Manchin really just sided with the party, Democratic Party, and did away with the filibuster, then the entire landscape will change, will tilt, right? Which did not happen because this guy is bucking the trend there.
Yeah, he's like the roadblock.
Right, and then of course the liberals really, really hate him. Okay, they send gazillion, very attacking tweets today, and he doesn't seem to move. So in certain sense, just think about that Democratic Party, right? We what do we got? In the very beginning is Thomas Jefferson, right? Then we got the Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson. Then we got a Kennedy. We do have those moderate Democrat Party who was part of the the pillar of our country, along with the Republican Party. So now the Democrat has changed a lot, Democratic Party has changed a lot, but people say, fortunately, we still got people like Joe Manchin, who kind of still seeing things and the way they should be, and they do not just, making choice along with those liberals or the ultra-leftist. So, okay, that's why we got here. 2 years passed, the country did not change significantly. And then, sliding to the far left. So we're still kind of holding up things here. All right, so this is first the background of this today's Senate vote. And the second one, actually, this is from the Washington Post, all right? It's the Washington Post that said 3 conservative sources said since the leaking of the draft ruling on the Mississippi case by the Supreme Court, 5 conservative judges have not changed their mind. Okay, they're going to keep their vote. And the Chief Justice, Roberts, has been trying to persuade them to change their mind.
Really?
Right, yeah, just do it incremental way. Okay, don't just overturn Roe v. Wade. They don't seem to, according to Washington Post, they don't seem to have been, persuaded.
And it's reported that actually tomorrow, the 12th, the justice will be having a closed-door meeting to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to share this observation, which is ridiculous. I'm a journalist here. Okay, presumably I'm not the best journalist in this country. There's enough first-class professional, decades trained journalists in this country. However, the mainstream media now teach Americans to learn that Supreme Court's decision, upcoming decision, is just put their nose into the lives of women of this country, and make a decision for them. No, that's not a Mississippi case ruling. That's not a Roe v. Wade ruling.
It's not the leaked draft ruling says, right?
Yeah, and the issue on the table is the Supreme Court. This Supreme Court may rule that they will stay out of the issue of whether abortion is legal or not. They want to leave this to the state. Texas can, just establish laws to ban abortion, and the state of Washington will pass laws to allow abortion.
Well, California has been just establishing the legislations to giving subsidies.
Yeah, it's their right. This is exactly what the founding father want. Each state make their own decision. This does not belong to the federal government, does not belong to the Supreme Court. And now Supreme Court is at the verge of making a decision of just serving their constitutional duty by staying out of the matter and passing the ruling right of this matter back to each state. This is not about their nose into the affairs of women of this country, which is completely misleading. And this is the great job, the result of the great job of the mainstream media, which is a shame. We as journalists, we study, we research, we understand the matter. We should never have done things like that, but they're doing that. Okay, so this is some comment from my peer, so-called professional journalists in this country, in their work of misleading people. All right, so that's that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how you think.
Wanted to, actually, there are quite some comments here, and I saw Louis said. First of all, thank you, Danielle Sullivan. Thank you for your support, your donation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And Danielle said, you guys are the best. Thank you for your brave reporting. I wish we could help citizens of China somehow. My heart is broken for them. Yeah, I really appreciate Danielle for your, compassion and your kindness. So, and by, to really help them, I think one way for us as journalists have been doing is to really report what's going on there for our fellow Americans and the people around the world to know what's really going on in China and to really give them a voice that they couldn't have. All right. So, and I saw Louis said that we need to demand investigation into the leak and have consequences for whoever did it. It was just an opinion. I think, at least the GOPs in the Congress, they are demanding the investigation. And I heard, actually, it's so interesting. It should be only a few people, like the suspects, who leaked it.
Yeah, it's actually not hard to catch the leaker because it's such a small circles.
Yeah, because I watched what Senator Ted Cruz said. He said whoever can have access to the draft ruling, only the 9 justices and their clerks. And each justice has 4 clerks. So total 36 clerks plus the 9 justices. But then you have a reasonable, reasonably you can exclude the 5 justices who vote for it, right? And also the 20 of their clerks. So you're left how many? 16 clerks. And, reasonably, you would not think the justice themselves would leak it. So only the 16 people who could be the suspects, and the FBI, the DOJ, has just not done anything yet.
Yeah, but Kathy, the justice, they could have leaked it.
Well, that's what
possible.
I'm just rephrasing what Senator Cruz said. He's giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
So 16, in the most 16 plus 4, 20 people.
No hard to catch.
Yeah, but
leaker.
it's already been like 1 week. Over a week now.
The marshal did not seem to have finished her job. It's a colonel, right? It's colonel. It's Army colonel, who should have all the training to catch the leaker. Yeah, anyway.
It's unfortunate, I think, if we just, if they would allow this continue to happen, and with all the violence and the intimidation to those justices outside of their private homes. It's illegal, and it won't set a good precedence.
And one piece of news I want to let you know that an organization, investigative organization called, the Bellingcat, Bell the cat. You remember the fable, Bell the cat, Bellingcat. They announced that one reporter of theirs got this information from somebody who claimed who's the organization behind the arson of the Wisconsin Family Protection.
Okay.
They said the organization is called Jane the Revenge. Okay, you understand that? Jane Roe, right? Jane Roe, Jane the Revenge. They said this is the first. This Wisconsin event is only the flashpoint of their first move.
Okay.
They're gonna do this nationwide. Okay, if those against those anti-abortion and all the fake clinic as they claim, if they don't stop, they're gonna keep doing that. So, in the name of safeguarding the rights of women, they are willing to burn building and killing people potentially. Right.
Yeah, I think they have learned from the cases like a George Floyd case and the other cases that what they have been doing works.
They got away.
It works. So I think that they're learning about these type of lessons, and people will watch if the justices would have the strong spines, right? Because. We already know 5 of them, where they are standing on the case right now.
Yep. All right, so with no further ado, we're going to just move into our feature story of tonight, which is actually, besides Kathy, Wei also met with Lily at the CPAC, and we had some very good chat, and which helped us learn about her even before this interview.
That's right. So Lily Tang Williams, as I said, if you missed it from the beginning, today is her 34th anniversary coming to this country. And she posted on the Facebook, about saying that 34 years ago, I left communist China with $100 borrowed and arrived at Austin, Texas after suffering from tyranny, poverty, and oppression.
Wow, may I insert? Because that reminded me, I came to this country with the $252 in my pocket. Literally, okay. I didn't have any debt, but I only have $250. I came here, I went to graduate school, and then got my degree, found a job, and built my family and established my work in my life here. This is what Americans give me, and likewise, I would say give to Lily, right?
Yeah, she on another post she said, I did not have much, and I was skinny, and I have just a few clothes and the books, and also over $1,200 in debt to my U.S. sponsor for air tickets and graduate school fees. And she said that she could not speak English fluently, but she was determined to work hard to achieve her American dream. And now she's living in the American dream. She has a loving husband whom she met on the first day she arrived at Austin, and 3 great kids, and a business that allowed her to work from home. So now Lily is running for election to represent New Hampshire's 2nd congressional district, which the Republican primary is scheduled on the September 13th of this year. So interesting thing is that Lily was supposed to be on Tucker Carlson's show tonight, although it was rescheduled. So she will be on Tucker Carlson's show tomorrow, just as we will announce for her. So, but it's a very, very interesting, very powerful interview. So I encourage you to stay with her story. So without further ado, let's go for the interview.
Lily, welcome to our show. Well, thank you for having me today.
You are one of the very few Chinese Americans, the first generation, studying to run for office. So why you decided to do that?
Well, I did a run in Colorado before, but this is my first time run in New Hampshire as a Republican congressional candidate in the congressional district 2. So we have 2 seats, 2 districts, and I'm running in city 2.
What triggered you to make the decision to run?
I fear the country I love is becoming the country I left. I could not sleep well last 2 years. I saw the rise of authoritarianism, not just in the United States, but in Western countries. And through the pandemic, I saw the arbitrary division of societies that the citizens just hate each other and so divided based on their race, their color, instead of judge people on their individual character. And I saw cancel culture is silencing people, dissident voices. I feel like I'm having a PTSD. I saw them all in Mao's Cultural Revolution, where I grew up from 2 years old until 12 years old when he died. I cannot be just sitting on the sideline. I need to tell my stories. I need to come out to defend my new country, defend American dream.
Yeah, so tell us about it. Because you were young when you were in the Cultural Revolution in China. How would the memory affect you, your later life here?
Well, I did not know I was so brainwashed until actually I came to this country. When Mao died, after I chanted every day for like 5 years in government schools, long live Chairman Mao, 10,000 years, double 10,000 years with his little red book. When he died, I was just so lost. Like, oh, he is a human. I thought he was godlike leader. I never asked questions. For the first time, I was 12 years old. I was asking questions inside of my own head to say, who lied to me? Who lied to my entire generation and the entire Chinese population? So I started to question. And but I got a little bit brain left. I better self-censor, don't talk about it publicly. And I decided I'm going to study law. When I had the chance to go to college, I'm going to search for truth. So people don't understand when you're born into China, into communist system, you had no choices. You had no personal freedom. You were one of the masses, one of the numbers. My parents live in this community courtyard row house, and a family shared one bathroom, one water faucet, and we were so hungry, live on food rationing coupons provided by Chinese government. And we're supposed to be grateful because we had some food to eat. Then we were brainwashed to say, Taiwanese people are starving to death. And so, the party control everything. So you don't know the truth. So I really appreciate when I went to university, at least in the 1980s, China was more relaxed, more opening up. We were having some discussions about what kind of country we wanted. And that's another story to wake up in college.
Wow. And how do you think right now in the United States, a lot of, especially the young people and also some old people too, they just feel maybe, socialism, just if you do it right, you work, and a lot of people support all that. So what do you think they are missing?
Blame on the U.S. educational system, and if they really teach horrors of communism and socialism, our young people may think differently. But see, that's another thing. I see similarities with China. It's all this indoctrination in our classrooms. And you have so many young people actually worship socialism. They want communism because they bought into this utopian ideology. I told them it will never come. Mao created the Communist Party of China and sold everybody the same thing. and peasants will have land, intellectuals will have freedom of speech and press. None of them happened. Once they took over China, during the land reform, Mao's policies, he killed 2 million landowners and took their land, by the state power. But the peasants never had their own land. Instead, Mao said, well, let's have people's communes. So now we can live in a utopian society, have people's commune, everybody has guaranteed a job, everybody can take whatever they need, but there's not enough food to eat. And so it did not work. And during the mass famine of 1958 to 1961, estimated 40 million Chinese, lots of peasants, died of starvation. And we were I was 92. Oh, 3 years natural disasters. I did not know the truth until I came to this country many years later by doing research and open up my mind for the truth. So lots of Chinese, they still don't know that. They don't know how many people died because they were lied to. So what a horror story that is, right? But the young people in this country, they don't know either. So it's like, what is going on? People in China don't know because they don't have a free speech and free internet. And young people here don't know because they were indoctrinated by Marxist professors in colleges and paid by taxpayers. I feel like I have this calling. I need to come out effectively and publicly to speak up and to tell my stories and to tell people I come America for freedom, for prosperity. I don't want to relive in another socialist country, a dictatorship country under tyranny. That's why I'm running. I want to defend our country and my American dream for my children.
What are the major signs of the socialism, communism here?
Equity, social racial equity. That equity, equal outcome is a Marxist term. BLM organization founder said we are trained Marxists. And university students want the government to provide free college, free health care, more and more free stuff. Think wonderful things that government can do for them. It sounds so familiar to me. And now you are facing also this censorship, cancel culture, and the critical race theory, DEI or 619 Project. So what are they doing in this country? Divided citizens into oppressor versus oppressed. Then certain groups are under oppressor, certain groups are under oppressed. Why are they dividing all the citizens based on their gender, sex, skin color, racial, background? We're all Americans. All men are pretty equal. That's what I believe. I'm living American dream, but they want me to believe because I'm a minority woman, I'm supposed to be victims of oppressed in this country. And I cannot buy into that. I love this country. I feel like this is really an exceptional country because we have guaranteed constitutional rights as individuals and given to us by our Creator, not by any government. Our natural rights existed before any government, before any laws. But our children believe that, they want this kind of social justice movement. And because they feel sympathetic toward people who are disadvantaged. Well, let's have a conversation then about why the people of color cannot come out of poverty for years, especially you are trapped inside the blue cities and blue states. And they're Democrat ruling blue states. Why they cannot come out of poverty? We need to have a conversation about that. But they don't want to have conversation. They want you to toe the line, to say PC stuff. If somebody like Joe Rogan even just ask questions for 3 hours and he can be racist, he should be canceled. I'm so scared for the country because the journalists today so politicalized. Legacy media are repeating sometimes even China's official talking points. And I know the propaganda, the power of propaganda to lie to the public. and the lies become the truth if you just repeat it every day. They control the terms, they control the words, and so all this stuff is going on in this country. I see it's really familiar to me. If I see the writings on the wall, I just feel like I need to come out to call that out, to tell people, what is the truth. And we don't want to go down that path, and we need to be united. We don't want to be divided as Americans.
Yeah, a lot of Chinese Americans, they starting to realize their values are more in line with the conservative side. So, based on your perspective or knowledge, why would that happen? Like many of the Asian Chinese community voters vote Democrats.
Well, that I respect their people's choices, but before you belong to any party, before you even vote for anybody, you need to become open-minded, to study, to do research. Don't be blind followers, and don't buy into the main media rhetorics. I mean, especially if you still watch CCTV every day in America, then you can be also subject to that kind of propaganda. We need to have conversations. I'm running for U.S. Congress as Republican. If any other Chinese running as Democrats, I like to sit down with them, have a debate, have a conversation to say why I believe Republican Party's platform and the policies are better for aging Americans, because we value family, we value education, we like lower taxes, we like prosperity. Aging Americans have highest annual income than white. So we're very successful in this country. Even for me, right? I started with $100 in this country, almost 24 years old, could not speak English. I owe my professor $1,200. I'm living American dream. I have 3 home businesses today. I pay off all my debts in first year when I come to this country, and by cooking and cleaning and stay with American family, hosted families, I feel extremely welcome in this country. And there, of course, no society is perfect. There are lots of issues we need to work with, but the only way we can solve our problems is by respect each other's opinions and sit down, have a conversation, have discussions, offer solutions. But right now, you cannot have that. You just name calling, division, hatred, divided people up, and bite into rhetorics and medias and fear-mongering medias. We desperately need more independent medias. But hey, we're independent-minded. We can look for our source of information, truth, from internet. Come out of your mental block. I don't care what party you belong to or you are unfairly independent. But this is our country now. So what I say to people as immigrants, we come here for freedom, for prosperity. And this is our country. If we lose America, America become the country we left, where would you go, right? And we'll have kids here, they're gonna have kids here. So it's time to be educated, not misinformed, time to do your own research, time to care, to make voices to be heard. I made lots of new Chinese friends here. It's very encouraging. They are activated and they are waking up. And it's a good sign. So I'm glad to see that.
So how do you think the people like you, with the Chinese Communist background, when you grow up and coming to this country, value what it's offered, especially in this time of the history, the direction is going, what do you think the role of Chinese Americans can play?
Well, I do have some Chinese friends who are joining me to speak up and speak out, getting interviews. Because as a Chinese immigrants, my generation survived Mao's Cultural Revolution and left China for a free country, America. We know better what is the truth. We recognize the tactics of communists. We recognize Marxist terms. We recognize government tactics. We need to just speak up, because we cannot keep our head in the sand to say everything will be over. I don't want to take chances. I don't want to be canceled. And I don't want to be scared. I still want to go back to China. I still want to do business with China, whatever that is. But we know inside our heart, this is not right. It's like American people might not know, right? They never lived without freedom before. We know better. When you see your neighbor's house on fire, you see it, your neighbors don't know. You're supposed to inform your neighbor to say, hey, your house is on fire. Danger, warning, and put off the fire, right? That's how I feel. Immigrants like us, we know how horrible this past can lead us to. And it's time for us to come out, tell our stories. If you can't tell right now, I understand, but you can support somebody like me running for U.S. Congress, getting national interviews, and to warn people to say, what kind of country we want is exceptional America. It's our American dream, and we just don't want to lose that to the communist and Marxist takeover of this country. Then the world will be a very dark place without a free America.
Yeah, as you mentioned, some people, especially with the relationship in China, they're afraid or they don't want to lose the economic financial benefits by associating with China. So what's your take on that?
Well, sometimes in life, you need the courage to speak the truth to the powers. And I understand lots of people just want to focus on family, raise children, make good money, have a comfortable life. But that's not guaranteed if we lose a free country. The colors of communists, when they take over, you're going to lose everything anyway. Everybody will be equally poor, equally enslaved. They do not respect private property. They do not respect nuclear families and parental rights. So your kids are being discriminated right now in the United States of America because they're having a wrong skin color, wrong race. It is time for people who value education now come out to say, what's going on in my local schools? Why are my kids being demonized? Why are they calling masses racist? And the very hardworking aging students who are being discriminated in the enrollment process by Harvard, by Yale. But the Biden's DOJ dropped lawsuit against Yale, and there are lots of parents are still suing. So there are lots of things going on. They talk about equity, and your agents are too good and too excellent. Do you know Mao's Cultural Revolution also canceled excellence? They cancel science. They cancel artists. Get rid of 4 oaths. So Zhang Tiesen, who turned over a blank like a test paper, oh good, a hero, yeah, go ahead and fail academically, then you are more red. This is all upside down. Communism is a foreign ideology adopted by Communist Party from Karl Marx. And 70 years later, after founding of China, you see Chinese society today, 24-hour surveillance police state. Nobody can speak up. Citizen journalists like you go straight to jail or dying in jail. And other religious figures who are not PC can disappear. Cultural genocide in Xinjiang, in Tibet, and Falun Gong practitioners were demonized. Organ harvesting. There are so many things are available. But lots of Chinese Americans in this country, they don't know. They have not opened their mind to do research on their own. I don't know where they got their source of information. So I always encourage them, try different source of information. Trying to search for truth. The truth shall set you free. Then you can get activated as American citizens in this country to fight for freedom here.
Yeah. So talking about that, how do you see the influence and the infiltration of the Chinese Communist Party here in the United States to kind of contribute to the situation now?
It's unbelievable. Americans have been so naive. They thought if China joined WTO, maybe China will be advanced into a democratic country. It's not happening. China is going backwards under the new regime. And but we let them come here. Confucius Institute is here. United Front Department Work is here. 1,000 Recruiting Talents Project here. And U.S. elected politicians are friendly with Beijing regime. And some are making lots of money from business deals. And our work corporations, sports teams who want to have access to China, 1.4 billion Chinese market. And they were just turn black eye to China's human rights abuses. Except, Ernest Kinder Freedom and the World Tennis Association, they have guts to say, we cannot put up with that. We are better than that. We got to put the human rights above profits. Because guess what? Do you want to live in a world where Chinese Communist Party is a bully to everybody, who can make anybody disappear? If you're feminist in this country, where is the Peng Shui? Peng Shui come out, of course she's not afraid. She even wanted to take back her accusations of the high-level official raped her. And how about the Uyghurs who are in concentration camps? And China's social credit system, China's zero COVID policies will lock you in home. Entire city of 30 million people in Xi'an were under lockdowns without even adequate food. And we just saw what happened during the Winter Olympics. That when people inside the bubbles were not allowed to go outside, interview regular citizens to see what their life is like. I think lots of Americans really don't understand China. China is a very complicated country, and the Chinese government's propaganda is everywhere in the world, who make them look glorious. They infiltrate into our schools through Confucius Institute for past 15-something years, our churches, our media, and give money to our universities and send the scholars to their universities. It is time now for people to ask questions, to be aware the China threat. China is the second largest economy, $18 trillion GDP. Russia is less than $2 trillion. They're talking about medium, talk about Russia every day. Do they call out China? No. Do they call out the politicians who have business deals in China? No, there's no transparency. Hunter Biden, big guy, 10%. They did not even report those, during the election year. But as citizens, we have the freedom here. We have the right to know the truth. If the major media don't tell them, they should turn to you. Alternative, you are doing alternative medias. And in Mandarin Chinese too. So why not to educate yourself? And when you are free, then you should have a free mind. So this is a critical year now for people to ask questions and to free themselves from all the propaganda.
So Lily, when you are on the campaign trail and you tell your story, like this to Americans, fellow Americans, how do they take it? Do you think they realize?
Well, most time I get invited by Republicans, Libertarians, and conservatives. I want to be invited by Democrats too, but I haven't got any invitation yet. I want to go on their shows. Bill Maher, hey, and even ABC, CBS, NPR. I'm open to talk to everybody, because I think people need to know the truth, and the people cannot put me in the box because I'm not really that partisan. I just want to tell my personal stories, and I think most of American people are wonderful people. Have goodness in their heart. They want to have the best for their families, for themselves, and for the country. It's just we need to tone down those major media rhetorics about division, about fighting each other, and demonize each other. And the most conservatives, they invite me to go speak, and sometimes I go to college campuses. It's just they don't know. They were shocked. They were terrified, and I have students who are terrified to say, I feel so much more appreciative of my country, of my freedom here. I need to fight for my freedom here. Don't lose it. Once you lose it, it's gone forever. So people respond so positively, and I'm open to go everywhere, and that's my mission, and that's my calling.
I'm not sure about in New Hampshire how many Asian or Chinese Americans run for Congress. The legacy media, shouldn't they be interested in your, as a candidate at least?
I hope so. I just announced my candidacy over a month ago, and I did get a local. The only one TV station, we only have one, and WMUR, and the political director did interview me. I'm gonna go back, have second interview, and I have people publish my stories and interview me by radio and by like a studio session. So I think the people are still taking their time to discover my campaign. I feel very welcome in New Hampshire. I'm the chair of the Aging American Coalition in New Hampshire. We have Vietnamese, Koreans, Japanese, Filipinos, Indians, Americans, and they all want to get involved. And at least we can help each other to voice for ourselves. And they're concerned about inflation, education, violence against the agents, indoctrination, and discrimination. All those issues are not partisan. So we want to get people involved, motivated, and to say this is our new state, our new country, and we want to speak for ourselves. We don't want the radical left speak for us. So we have a public page actually called the New Hampshire Asian American Coalition. We are the 3%, second largest minority group in New Hampshire, just a little bit short of Hispanics. But if you can organize at the local level effectively, I think that's the best way, because nobody is going to come to save you locally. You have to save yourselves. If you want to have control in your kids' education, don't you think that you should to go to the school board meetings, find out who is making those policies, and who is going to shut down your school next time, and make your children wear masks forever, 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day? All those are local board decisions. So it's time to get involved. Either homeschool them, or send them to a charter school, have a school choice, or you're gonna get involved, run for school board, and go to the meetings and voice for yourself. There's a training session everywhere for you to see how you can go there, learn to speak in English, 2, 3, 5 minutes. Don't worry about, this is my first time, I don't know how to do it. And I have a Chinese YouTube channel called 华人参议. I will try my best to also talk in Mandarin to teach our Chinese Americans how to go to testify, write emails, join those meetings, and run for local office. I feel like I will be very glad to do that.
So was it hard for you to make all these steps?
I feel like it's my cause, and I get threatened, and people trying to discredit me. I was called a right-wing radical. And it's okay. And people who call me those bad names, they really don't know me. And so it's that sad. In America, you can be loving freedom, love American dream. You are called a right-wing radical. But if you are left radical, like Karl Marx, like Mao, and you are social justice warriors, and you're okay because you are woke. I think lots of young people are miseducated, and it is hard sometimes. I feel passionate about save America, and I want to give back to America. As I said, I could just enjoy my business, my family, and traveling around, keep my head down, and have all the time in my hands to travel, to enjoy the sense I'm supposed to enjoy. But I have a higher calling right now. I cannot say no. I cannot be silenced. Because if I don't come up to do this, who am I going to waiting for? Somebody else to do it? There is always somebody got to do it first. And I feel the calling. It's my mission. It's my passion. liberty, freedom is my North Star. I just cannot imagine if I lose this country, what kind of country my children will be living under. I don't want what happened to me in China ever happen to my children or your children in this country. So I'm not afraid, and I encourage everybody to have the courage to get involved and speak up. Join me.
Yeah, so some people just feel very frustrated and even maybe hopeless. And so, how do you feel about America's future?
Well, I understand people feel hopeless and they feel afraid, but sometimes if you give up, then worse outcome will come. Then we will lose America. So there are certain times in history always calling for incredible courage. Each individual can make difference. I do believe that. Remember, we are the majority. We are the silent majority. If we keep quiet, the radical left, the Marxists, will take over America. Will redistribute wealth. Will make your children belong to the state. Will enslave all of us. So I always suggest to people, you can do things quietly if you're afraid. Talk to your neighbors one-to-one. And there are lots of people who are not political. Tell them a little bit truth, what you know, and keep them close. And respect each other. Be kind to each other. And only when the majority people wake up, activated, there's nothing we cannot accomplish. We can stop. We can stop tyranny at any time. Now, from now on to the future, if we just wake up and activate ourselves and push back and resist, because I hate tyranny. I don't want to live under any tyranny. I'm an individual with natural rights, God-given rights. So, but I do ask people to do things in your timing, in your way, but we cannot wait anymore. This is a critical time for our country.
Any other things you would like our audience to know?
I'm on social media, Lily for Congress on Facebook, Lily for Liberty on Twitter. I have my Chinese YouTube, 华人参议, English channel, Lily Tang Williams, and Instagram. Please follow me. At least you can share my stories, share my videos, and to educate the public or your neighbors, your friends and families. So just please follow me, and I would really appreciate everybody donate $10, $20, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right, so that's Lily Tang Williams. How do you like her interview? I saw, quite some comments here, and a lot of our folks like her. And so, yeah, I think Lily really spoke for a lot of the China-born immigrants here. And when they saw what's happening in this country, many of them just felt, have an urgency, just like what Lily expressed. So it's, I think that's a very powerful interview. And it's good to stop here. Actually, want to let you know that Wei has to leave, so he won't be here with a conclusion here. But, for Wei, I will tell a joke. How about that? So it's actually about Cultural Revolution. And remember, in Lily's interview, she referred to the color red. And I make a note because a lot of folks here, we, in the political arena, we always what we know is the red represents Republican GOP, right? Well, in China, it's not. So the red actually represents the Chinese Communist Party. So that's not a joke. That's a fact, which I would like you to know about it. So during the Cultural Revolution, also this relates to Russia. Okay, Russia, in America. So this joke actually relates to that. During the Cultural Revolution, all the middle school in China stopped offering classes in Russian. Why is that? Since the Chinese Communist Party took over China, they started to teach Russian as a second language, foreign language. And then during the Cultural Revolution, they stopped that because the Chinese Communist Party at that time saying we are opposition to the Soviet revisionism. They called Soviet at that time revisionism. Okay, they had an infight with the Soviet Union. And then what they replaced was English. They starting to teach English. Okay, they actually showing good suggestion, good gesture to United States. Then all of a sudden, the country became notably short of English teachers. One school had to select someone with little English to teach the language. As it turned out, one day in the class, this teacher misspelled the word sun, okay, sun, right, in the sky, sun, as son, okay, daughter and the son, the daughter. So right then and there, a student pointed out the teacher's mistake. As a result, the teacher was publicly accused. Why? And his mistake is having viciously belittled our great leader, Mao Zedong, Chairman Mao, who is redder than the sun. Okay, and then he was dismissed from the school. So that's the joke. Why? And in Cultural Revolution, for Chinese people, under Chinese Communist Party, Mao Zedong, Chairman Mao, was likened to the red sun, okay, especially during the revolution, the Cultural Revolution. So that's, it really could be happening, right? But, now we tell as a joke. So that's the political correctness during the Cultural Revolution. And I think that's something to ponder over as well. All right. So that's all for today. And really appreciate, again, Daniel, for your support. And really appreciate everyone you being with us tonight. So take care. Have a great night. And see you on Friday. Bye-bye.